Deputy Catherine Connolly.
Minister, not too long ago I praised you for your speech in relation to the 8th Amendment. I certainly don't praise you tonight. I warned you on the night that I wouldn't be praising you permanently, and certainly your speech tonight is more of a spin than an elucidation of what happened. And we are here now, and Bridget McCall has been quoted, and she died in October 96, just over 21 years ago. Really a time to learn reason and to learn from it. And at that time, the Chief State Solicitor, acting for Noonan, warned Positive Action that unless they went quietly to the Compensation Tribunal, they would face uncertainties, delays, stresses, confrontation and costs, and so on and so on. And they pursued Bridget McCall right up to the day of her death, almost, and said that she tried to sue under a pseudonym to keep her privacy. The state fought that. And so on, and they denied. I don't have the time to go into it, but you can see the full power of the state coming down on the body of a woman, Bridget McCall, at the time, and her family. And here we are 22 years later, and the same type of spin, the same type of that was absolute bullying at that point. What's coming across now is more a patronising attitude, that we know best. I don't want reassurance as a woman, actually. I don't want reassurance. I don't think the women of Ireland want reassurance. What they would like is full information so that they can make up their minds as to what screening they will access. And in relation to this specific issue, the women affected need full information. And you're here tonight telling us that information is emerging as we speak. And you've given us a copy of a note in relation to the briefing note, and your actual speech has a mistake in it. And on page 2 of your mistake, look at your, it said, the note says the State Claims Agency that the claim against the Health Executive was likely to fail or be dropped in the absence of any bad faith. That is not accurate. The note refers to exemplary damages and the advice from the State's Claims Agency that the exemplary damages mightn't succeed because of lack of faith, not that the case would be dropped. The note also mentions that there was no chance of the case settling because bravely, the woman in question wasn't going to accept a confidentiality clause. And the lab were absolutely saying, well, you have to have a confidentiality clause. And then already Deputy Alan Kelly has mentioned, and it's an extraordinary thing, that the National Screening Service and Jerome Coffey, the head of the National Cancer Control Programme, advised the department in writing that this wasn't a patient safety incident. Now, maybe you could explain to me how somebody could possibly say that this wasn't a patient safety incident. There's so little time, really. I do not think that a HICRA investigation is the answer. I think there are so many questions here that to say HICRA is the answer at this point is certainly at the very least premature. We need to establish the full facts. We need reports back in relation to how many women have not been contacted. It is not good enough to come in here tonight and tell us facts are emerging. I have an email here from somebody who will remain nameless, and it's pointed out to me in that email that a smear test was done in 12 and the result was wrong or interpreted wrongly, or a wrong result given, and in 2009. 2 different occasions. Radical surgery ensued in August 15. I understand that that person wrote to the head of the screening programme. No reply was received. At this point, with my limited time, how many letters have been sent by various women throughout the country that have not been replied to? What other legal proceedings have been settled, instituted, settled, still pending? How many have been settled with confidentiality clauses because the women had to cave in given their circumstances? At the very least, all of this information should be before us tonight. It is extremely worrying to me as a woman as I hear the language being used on a regular basis on the radio over the last week or two, which seeks to reassure us when reassurance cannot be given and should not be given, and it is not our role at this point, nor the government's role. It is your role to give full information. and to set up a proper independent inquiry that, with full information, will give some trust back to the women affected and to the women of Ireland. I don't want any platitudes at this point, and neither do the women who are writing to me.
Thanks, Deputy Connolly. Deputy